Aaron, thanks for jumping in on this conversation. We're going to talk about scaling NFTs. We're excited to have you come speak about that topic. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Spree?
Absolutely. So, my name is Erin McGinnis. I'm one of the co founders of Spree, which is a platform really designed to help merge the digital and physical spaces together using augmented reality and NFT creations embedded into this type of space. So, it's a platform that we can experience our physical world with layered other perspectives on top of it, which can be NFTs through different DAOs, communities other people might be a part of, and really allow this idea of the metaverse to come into what we already know to be our lived experience.
When you think about community development and bridging physical, digital, AR, social connection, because there's a lot there, right? And so,
Mhm.
how do you break down community development for yourself, your team, the platform, those that you partner with? What are the rhythms of the conversation around decentralized community development in this environment?
Definitely. So, one of the things that I think is really amazing just about the Web3 space in general and how community has formed amongst the NFT space in particular is really leaning into this idea of micro communities around these centralized, smaller themes or topics or specific collections, maybe that there's a shared passion for interest or connection point over. And through each of these micro communities, then we can feel a sense of alignment with one another, a sense of deeper connectionness or knowing of reflection of you and me and me and you. And I think that really allows for people to kind of transcend any other limitations that might have been in place before. And some of the different metaverse experiences in the digital world aspect or the VR aspect in particular really takes that to that next level. As we're looking at where we're at right now, kind of as society and starting to step towards that, there are some people that are already deep into this metaverse world, so to speak, but that's not the masses. And so there needs to be this bridge to help people kind of take those first couple of steps in. And that's really where I see augmented reality being a huge player in the near future. So then some of these other more advanced or interesting technologies can really come out and play. I think through that more accessible medium of augmented reality, it allows for social connection at a deeper level as well. We've seen a good handful of different platforms pop up in the space that are leaning more heavily into this idea of social connection rather than having to go from a marketplace into a specific forum to actually have a conversation with one another, which I think is another trend we'll continue to see as more platforms grow and expand a bit.
Part of it's the conversation around community, and part of it's the conversation around technology, platform, product. When you're articulating, hey, here's the tech, here is the inner workings of it all. How do you discuss those things internally or externally in your marketing or in terms of your partnerships? What's the conversation around the development of technology that makes all this work?
I think a lot of it comes down to partnering, which is one of the really amazing kind of foundational aspects of blockchain as a whole, and the ability to now explore moving things from one chain to another and just kind of pushing the bounds of what is. When speaking internally to either my own team or to other people deep in this space, the conversation is oftentimes centered around how can we make this user experience as friendly as possible. That's a key part of that conversation, especially because people are coming into it at all different levels. Like Spree might be the entry point of somebody into the world of NFTs at all. And through that, we want to make sure it's a welcoming space and that it's it's just an opportunity for that person to then explore all the other wonderful things that this space has to offer. And I think a lot of other platforms, founders are thinking about it in a similar way, just this sense of responsibility to help invite other people in, which has just created a really amazing community aspect on kind of that founder builder pushing it forward level. And then on the flip side of talking with people who this might be their first conversation about maybe even blockchain in general, the conversation shifts a bit just from that educational point of lens and trying to translate things into something that they can understand and access and can be meaningful for them. And the capabilities of NFTs and how it can be applicable to so many different people's lives is amazing and makes it easy to do so, which is great for me.
So when you think about the future and what you're projecting, that you're hoping for, building towards, if I say NFT 2024, what comes to mind in the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, so this is a trend that we've seen in a lot of other like media entertainment spaces, but how we're thinking about it at Spree in particular. Right now, crypto art is really popular, especially popularized by mainstream media. And so we're kind of experiencing that peak first. After that, we envision the next peak will really be in the music space. And we're seeing some really powerful platforms pop up there where different musicians can just have different ways to monetize their music and have that true ownership and share that with their fans, creating NFTs out of that content. And then moving beyond music, we see that next peak being really a bit more of content creation as a whole, where the different content creators, the influencer type people, kind of the masses of what we currently know in terms of just content creation in general, that's where that next peak will start to rise. And I think we're starting to see beginning inklings of that. But that's really what we're trying to position ourselves for in particular.
And maybe you could touch a little bit more on the AR space, because that's a big part of what you're working on, right? There's the art, there's the music, there's all the developments of content creation, but how about the interact? Like if I have AR in these glasses in 2024, how might I imagine NFTs playing? You know, I have weather over here and I have my text message notification over here, but how are NFTs playing a role in my life in your mind if I am able to get these wonderful Chrome glasses as AR glasses one day?
Yes. So I'm sure there are lots of other amazing ideas and things being built, but at Spree, the way that we envision that future could look for you is the first step, walking through the world around you and kind of in a Pokemon Go type style. You can take out your phone, tap on different things, interact with these augmented figures and things placed in the world around us. And that gives us access to then have ownership over that character in Pokemon Go, or on our platform, it would allow you to purchase an NFT itself or post your own NFT that as someone else is walking down that street, they could then interact with it. Eventually, that would be in different other hardware, such as glasses, and maybe it can track our eye movement. And if we blink in a certain type of pattern, then we could just add that NFT directly into our collection. And maybe that gives us access to some other type of experience, which I think will be continue to layer on different NFTs as they're produced kind of in conjunction with different brands and companies that exist currently. We see some different ways of how this might play out is, let's say somebody is a model or an aspiring model for a particular brand. They might post one of the pictures of them modeling right outside of a store that they want to be a model for. And as then whatever fashion designers or managers of that store are walking into that place, they would be experiencing the world at first on their phone and then through their glasses and see this piece posted right outside, and it creates this opportunity of deeper experience kind of across the board, as well as different opportunities for engagement, which I think can lead to a lot of other great just connection points and pushing the bounds of industries across the board. The way that NFTs are a key component to this is that it gives people that true ownership, which is foundational to this whole conversation.
If you could gather everybody up in Times Square and you have all the billboards, this is my final question.
Yes.
You have all their attention. What message do you want to give personally, or that Spree would want to give as a corporation? Maybe you have Spree on the side and you on the other side, but what do you want to say, not to people that are looking into it, but the builders, the collectors, the enthusiasts, the IP brands, the celebrities that are coming to do things and build things? What's your message to all of them?
Yeah, my message would be centralized around the idea of exploring. Just go explore. My initial background is in science and neuroscience. Like on paper, I may not necessarily belong in this space, but one of the amazing things about this space is that everybody belongs here and everybody can have this beautiful, wonderful say in what the future looks like at this much deeper level than I think has ever been provided before in history. Since we have this foundation of the internet in general, we can now have this kind of launch pad to understand what possibilities might exist for us in the future. And I think one of the amazing aspects about NFTs and Web3 in general is these interconnection points across different fields, spaces, people, backgrounds that may not seem to have any reason to collide, but they absolutely do or could, or maybe something wonderful can come out of it. But that can only happen if people are willing to explore. And a lot of people in this space are very welcoming and open to receiving new people, new perspectives, and want to also push the bounds. So we'd love to have you.
Well, I'm noticing your background, and as we wrap things up, I see the plants, I see the dream, and I think that's what our conversation kind of resembles, right? Organic and natural and human and dreaming and vision. So thank you for bringing all of that to the audience right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for anybody that's watching us live or sees the archive, thank you for your attention. My name's Ian. I'm one of the co-producers at NFT NYC, and it is a great joy to spend time with people like Erin. So Erin, thank you so much for being with us. I look forward to seeing you in New York, and we're grateful to have Spree's involvement.